Coloured pencils and oil pastels, a match made in heaven or a match made in... So is it a good idea to use coloured pencils in your oil pastel artwork? Only really you can decide that, and I'm here just to give you a couple of pros and cons as to why you could or why you shouldn't. While I'm here, I'm going to give you my opinion. My opinion is I don't like it. My opinion is use as little as possible if you have to use it. Whenever I am on YouTube, I see a lot of artists. They are doing a really great picture, it has to be said, and then all of a sudden they pick up this 12B graphite pencil. Now 12B isn't common in UK, we go up to about 9 or 10B. But they pick up this 12B graphite pencil and they start using it, and I'm actually quite horrified by it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Why would you want a grey, silvery, shiny look on top of your oil pastel? I understand the fact that you can get the details from it, but there are other ways, and I'm here to show you why or how. Now this subject can be very extensive and complex, however I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. So I have here a wax-based pencil. The best pencil in my opinion for use on oil pastels is actually the Prismacolor. They're wax-based as well, so it makes sense that this is a wax-based pencil. This is harder, a lot harder than the Prismacolor, but it will still work the same way. I have found, in all honesty, oil-based pencils are not that good when it comes to oil pastels, which seems a bit weird, but that's what I've found. They're too hard and they just dig into the oil pastel and they don't really do what you want them to do. So I would say, from my knowledge, that the wax-based pencil, especially the Prismacolor, would be the best. So what can we use the pencil for? We can use the pencil for initial outlines. And let's draw a little man. We can draw outlines, and once we've laid pastel, let's choose a lighter colour. Once we've laid pastel, we can also draw details into that pastel. Now you'll find that'll feel quite slippery. It'll go on quite dark as well, and possibly with the colour you have could possibly change colour. Now that's great if you want to do that. There is no reason to have to do that though. So what you can do is layer up your pastels. And draw into them with a scriber. And you can get the same effect. And that way you're not having to use a coloured pencil. You can use all sorts of things for a scriber. This has got a plastic tip, but it's got a sharp end on the other. And that would give you a finer detail. As you can see, there are other ways of getting finer details. Cotton buds, for example. And also the colour shaper. If I want to, I can lay some colour. Okay, but I use my colour shaper to push that into the paper a bit more. You may need to do this once or twice to get the detail. So you can use that. So you can get detail that way. It's not going to be as precise as your pencil and your scribing, but it does mean that you are sticking to oil pastel. Because once you start laying loads of pencil, in this case, then you become a multimedia artist. And if you're anything like me, you like to stick to your preferred medium. So if I do an oil pastel, I like it to all be oil pastel. Now I've done a couple of pictures I'll show you one where there's a mast. You've seen it before, but I'll show you where there was a mast. I used no pencils on that. The only part where I believe I used a pencil, and in fact I may have scribed it out, I can't remember now, but it was on the wire that comes from the mast down to the boat. That's the only bit. I think I may have done the scratching. Can't remember. But I'll show you the other one with a boat sitting there with the swans flying over. The only piece of pencil I used on that was actually on the ropes that are where the buoys are hanging on the side of the boat. Had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. I would have chosen a different way. So there are ways of doing it. So what are the pros? The pros are that you can get detail. The pros are that you can use pencil for your initial layout. Okay? And the pros are it's easy. What are the cons? The cons are if you lay an initial drawing and you try to go over it with a lighter colour, you're going to see the drawing underneath. Now these are all been coloured pencils so far, so I'm now going to use a graphite pencil, and a soft graphite pencil, which I was mentioning at the beginning. So here I have a 4B pencil, graphite pencil. Now I'll show you what will happen when you use that to draw with. Okay, so we get a lighter colour, presuming there's a lighter colour going on. A darker colour may cover it. But look at the smearing. To do an initial drawing, that would be absolutely no good whatsoever. So what you would need to do is to lighten it. With an eraser. Here I have a piece of white tack, so I'm just going to dab it. That way I can't smear it, it'll just lift out the colour. Alright, and we get that to a point. You can do it with a kneaded eraser. Get it to a point where it's a lot lighter. So there's barely any graphite on there, because what happens is graphite is a blendable material, and it would smear and blend in with the oil pastel. So here you can see there's no problem. Use a graphite pencil sparingly, very lightly. If you don't, you will get blending into it. That can happen with a coloured pencil, but not so much. If you use oil pastel, again you'll get the same effect as if you would if you use a graphite pencil. So you can see it's smearing. My opinion is, if you're going to use a pencil, then use a coloured pencil for your initial outlines, or an oil-based pencil. But again, erase a lot of it so that you cannot see it underneath, because this is not an overly transparent pastel, but you can still see the drawing underneath. Okay, so use a coloured pencil or an oil-based pencil and erase most of that. If you do use a graphite pencil, erase most of that as well. But again, you can still see lines, and this is not what we want. It will cover with a darker colour. So if we were doing a full drawing and we'd coloured it in and then we wanted some detail, use a coloured pencil if that's what you want to do. Obviously I don't advocate it. And use a harder graphite pencil so that you won't get smearing so much. It will still smear though, look. So you have to be very careful with the use of the graphite pencils. Very, very careful. Coloured pencils is better. Oil-based pencils is better than that. Oil pastels is not. Unless, of course, you're covering it up with suitable colours, then Oil Pastels is okay. I mean, the guy Wu Nemo, who we all admire, uses Oil Pastels to do his initial drawings, but they help with the overall look anyway. But the type of paintings I do, that doesn't help. As I said at the start, this is a very complex and extensive subject. You wouldn't think so, but it is. And a lot depends on the oil pastels you use. If you have opaque oil pastels, that's going to help. If you have transparent or translucent oil pastels, that doesn't help. Again, a lot depends on the pressure you put on the pencils, and also a lot depends on the paper, whether you can cover the marks up. My opinion is, if you need it to get to a finished picture and it's all you can do, then do it. However, if you are able to use your blending utensils and get the lines that you need, and some of the tips that I've given you in the past with tape and things like that, then use that, because it's better to say as a pure oil pastel painting. Don't use graphite. Only on the odd occasion use oil pastel if it suits. Use an oil-based or a coloured pencil, and use your blending tools to have to not use the pencils as much as you can. Nothing sinks my heart more than seeing somebody doing a really good oil pastel painting to then pick up a pencil, especially a graphite one, and start using that on there. It isn't needed. You have enough choice of pastels, hard and soft, to be able to get lines. You have enough blending tools to be able to get lines, cotton buds, colour shapers, sponge shapers, all sorts of things. Find a way, is my opinion. Scratching out, that's another method. So find a way and try not to use pencils, is my opinion. But if you have to, like I said, to get to an end product, then please use them. Doesn't matter either way, as long as you get what you want. Anyway, see you later. Bye.